Hey guys, it's me, Mary. This is a different video from what I typically film, but I found out some news this evening after I got out of the gym that I am very saddened to hear, and I would like to make this video to not only to share that news, but also to talk about things a little bit more. I am not a person that does well keeping my emotions bottled up. I'm a person that needs to get them out. So a lot of you guys know that unfortunately last night Joe Leon, the founder of May December Society and basically like the poster man for age gap relationships that a lot of people, myself included, looked up to, unfortunately passed away due to cancer. He was really sick for a long time. I don't know exactly what type of cancer that he had, but I was one of the few people that kept in touch with him and talked with him frequently over the years, and he asked me the last few months to keep his diagnosis private. He didn't want to feel as though he was a burden on other people. And it broke my heart when I first found out. I found out about when I first found out about his diagnosis, and it broke my heart when I found out the news. But yet I kind of unfortunately saw it coming, especially these past couple months. I've lost other very dear friends to various types of cancer, as well as relatives in my family, and I know what those final conversations tend to look like. And I know that when a person that I used to talk to daily or even weekly ceases contact with me and there's basically no conversations anymore, that unfortunately their health is declining. And in my heart I can feel that it's the beginning of the end, and unfortunately that's what I have felt with Joe the past couple months. Joe was very well known on social media. He had the May December official website for age gap relationships. He ran different social media platforms. He did live streams. He was featured in a Netflix show in one episode for the age gap relationship that he was in at the current time. And I loved Joe as a person. I idolized the ground that he walked on because he did so much for me, not only as a mentor, but as a very dear friend. And I felt very privileged and honored to have been his good friend for 6 years now. I first started talking to Joe when I was 18, almost 19, when I first joined the website and the community way back when I first started liking older individuals and needed help kind of navigating how to function with not only like an age gap crush at the time, but also just the relationships in general. And he was there for me every step of the way. And besides my parents, who have a 24-year age gap, Joe was the other prominent figure for me that I look up to and I respected so very much. And we had some really deep conversations, and some of those conversations I'm going to keep private out of respect, and also just because they're special to me, and I don't really feel as though I want to get into everything that was said. But there were times that have not been the best for me, and I've navigated a lot the last few years, and Joe not only just you know, was there for me and talked with me like late hours into the night, but he would always ask me, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I could do? And he would check in on me like a true friend, which honestly there are far and few of in today's world. And I of course I loved his videos, but he was a very dear friend. He came to me and I was very flattered about, I'd say like a year and a half ago roughly, about wanting to start his journey of self-publishing a children's book and how to go about doing that. And we went back and forth about it. I kind of helped him through the process, almost in a way as in me repaying him for all that he's done for me. He has contributed to important campaigns on GoFundMe that I've had to launch for the last few years for relatives of mine that were homeless for over a month, my own current boyfriend that was homeless for about a month. He contributed $100 twice just out of the goodness of his heart, and that means everything to me, because my boyfriend Mark was almost at the point where he felt he was going to give up on life again, and having those generous donations from Joe and other people during that time really gave him a push to keep going. So honestly, if it wasn't for gestures like that, I don't know if I would even still have my own boyfriend here with me. And that's a thought that saddens me too. Joe was so talented though. He did a lot of acting, he did short films, commercials, basically you name it, he did it. And let me tell you, Joe was a wonderful person. He was a stud. He had suave. He just had it all. He was just someone that I really looked up to a lot, and I'm probably repeating myself a ton, but I loved Joe. I have 3 men in my life that I love dearly. And the first one is my dad, the second one is my boyfriend, and the third was always Joe. There was no doubt in my mind that Joe would never not be high up there in the ranks. I pictured myself like meeting Joe one day and inviting him to a potential wedding if I were to get married, and it's just very, very sad to know that that's not going to be a reality ever. And that's just something that I have to accept and deal with. But I wanted to show you guys the children's book that he wrote, because he is so talented and his legacy deserves to live on, and I want to make sure it does. So he wrote this children's book called The Pesky Bee, and it is wonderfully well written. The visuals in it are absolutely stunning, and he self-published this through Kindle Direct Publishing through Amazon, which is how I self-publish and release my books also. So his author alias was J. Wallace. The illustrations were by Liza Lendenova. So please look up this book on Amazon if you have children that you think would love to read this book, that love animals, or even if you're an adult that's like, ooh, this is interesting, or I didn't know he wrote a book, you definitely should go check it out. I'm gonna leave the link to his book in my description of this video. I know it seems like I'm like not completely distraught because I haven't been sobbing my eyes out during this whole video, I don't think it's hit me entirely yet, and I know that when it does, it will, and I will be a wreck. I've cried a little bit. I'm just kind of trying to process it. Everybody processes grief differently, but Joe is one of my closest friends who I am going to miss very, very much, and I feel so special that I have a copy of his book that he personally signed for me to remember my friend by. So, yeah, may he rest in peace. I'm glad he's not suffering anymore, but I miss him very much, and I know a lot of other people do too. So, thank you. Bye.